Coming in, the US and Israeli delegation are now flying together on the historic first flight from Israel to Bahrain. Let's get you some live visuals coming in right now.
לקיים היום דיונים בצוותים מקצועיים ובקבוצות עבודה בשורה ארוכה של נושאים. פיננסים והשקעות, מסחר וכלכלה, תיירות, תעופה, תקשורת, תרבות, מדע, טכנולוגיה, חקלאות ונושאים נוספים.
Now remember, this is the historic first flight. A joint American and Israeli delegation which is set to fly to Bahrain on the first direct Israeli commercial flight to the Gulf Arab state, where they'll be signing a number of bilateral agreements following an announcement last month to normalize relations between the two countries.
The American delegation led by Secretary Stephen Mnuchin and Special Envoy Avi Berkowitz.
Bahrain and the UAE had formally signed the agreement to normalize relations with Israel in a ceremony at the White House on September 15th.
Safety, security, and prosperity. Secretary Mnuchin, he's been here many
and now a first joint American-Israeli delegation is set to fly to Bahrain on the first direct Israeli commercial flight to the Gulf Arab state.
To take the next step on the Abraham Accords.
These are live visuals coming in from Israel,
Abraham gave birth to
where a joint American-Israeli delegation is set to fly to Bahrain through a first direct Israeli commercial flight.
Both nations were rivals. But as we all know from the book of Genesis, they reconciled some 3,500 years ago. Today, we're bringing the Bible back to life.
Among those present in the delegation are U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin, as well as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's National Security Advisor, who will be leading this delegation that is flying out of Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport.
Among many historic days that the Trump administration has brought to this region. And again, welcome, Mr. Secretary. Welcome, Special Envoy Berkowitz. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. First, let me say it's great to be back in Israel. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's a great honor to be here, especially today, representing President Trump and leading the U.S. delegation for such a momentous time. I couldn't be more thrilled to be here to take the first commercial flight to Bahrain, and I especially want to thank the Prime Minister and the King for their bold leadership and for President Trump bringing this all together for this incredible day and this momentous time with the Abraham Accords and the peace treaty. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I just want to thank you for leading this delegation. This is actually my second delegation with you, having been here in May of 2018 that you led the delegation to Jerusalem. So thank you very much for continuing to lead us. Today is obviously an extremely important day because it's the culmination of a lot of work with us traveling on the first commercial El Al flight to Bahrain. But it also has a unique significance in that we're also going to be signing extremely important documents when in Bahrain. The Bahrainis and the Israelis will be, under Secretary's leadership, will be witnessing it. And so I'd like to echo what Mayor actually said, the idea of bringing forward tourism and banking and diplomatic relations, that the joint communique that we'll be signing, that they'll be signing today. ואם אפשר, אני רק רוצה להוסיף בעברית שאני מאוד מתרגש להיות בארץ ולנסוע באל על עם המשלחת הישראלית ולחזור על יום שלישי עם המשלחת האמירתי לארץ. אז תודה לכולם ונהיה בקשר.
Once again, these are live visuals coming in from Israel, where a joint American-Israeli delegation is set to fly to Bahrain on the first direct Israeli commercial flight to the Arab state, where they will be signing a few bilateral agreements following an announcement that was made last month to normalize relations with Israel. Bahrain and the UAE formally signed the agreement to normalize relations with Israel in a ceremony that was held at the White House, brokered by U.S. President Donald Trump on September 15th. U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin, as well as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's National Security Advisor, are leading this delegation that will soon fly out of Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport. Experts say that this is the official establishment of the diplomatic relations between the two countries. Now remember, the decision to establish ties with Israel had earlier outraged Palestinians, whose leadership has blasted the Bahraini move. And it has been dubbed as a betrayal and an undermining of the Arab stance that the recognition of Israel should come only after Palestinians achieve an independent state of their own. But this is a seminal deal. As part of the deal to normalize relations, the two Gulf Arab states and Israel will eventually establish their embassies and exchange ambassadors. And this first commercial flight out marks the beginning of that diplomatic relationship.